All right, guys. So today we're going to be talking
Don't
about
hike Camelback.
huh? What? Anyways, all right, young ladies. So we're going to be talking about public leadership and crisis leadership. Um, how to prepare for those situations.
To work.
Specifically for public leadership, I feel it should be included in anything in any job place because at some point in time you're going to have to give like
Hour.
or like a motivational talk, and I mean part of that's like should be included in any kind of training because you need people to
Uh,
buy into what you're saying at times. In terms of crisis leadership, I feel like that's just I feel that one's more observing what other people have done. Unfortunately, bad situations do come up, and to be able to handle those bad situations, you need to see how people handle it, and then like just do like a little case study depending on what industry you're in or what place or what the situation is. So, for example, say a leader from another division, another company handled a situation poorly. So you look at that and you're like, okay, they could have done this, this, and this better. So pretty much learn from other people's mistakes and don't repeat them.
And I'll add to that, like in the book, it says to prepare. The first step would be to acknowledge the situation. If there's a crisis, you need to communicate that with your employees. And usually, the CEO is the person who has to take control of these situations because if he can lead an organization through a crisis, and the public eye, that'll either make him look really good, it'll fix his image, his reputation, or if he doesn't and he just kind of runs away or gets in his helicopter and leaves, that will make him look terrible in the public eye. But the first step would be to acknowledge if there's a real crisis, you have to communicate that. And there was another thing that they talked about how sometimes there is a crisis, there is something that's majorly wrong with the organization or something that's going to happen. But in order to avoid chaos or people freaking out, they just kind of pretend like it's not really there, and then something bad actually happens.
I think this is a good place to mention the BP oil spill because when it happened, they acted like it wasn't their fault.
Yeah,
And yeah, they're just like, oh, it just happened. It's not our fault. But it's because they did like shoddy workmanship that it even happened. And it was such a huge deal that like everyone cared about it. And like that's why now you see like on Dawn soap there's like animals because like they or like whatever brand it is, they use that to like save all the animals. And basically like they didn't own up to it for a long time or like they didn't do anything about it for a long time because they're like, well, it's not our fault. And it was just like a huge deal and everyone was like worried about how it would affect the marine life and everything and it was just a huge mess.
yeah, I see.
And that's a great example. The way they didn't own up to it, they didn't do the right thing, and they just kind of pretended like it wasn't there. And in the public eye, they will not look good for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, my the BP by my house turned into a Valero. So
Yeah. They did not look good.
I think there's many companies that have done something similar where it's like out of sight, out of mind type thing. Like if we look at a lot of the lawsuits that are out there, we can just throw back out there the one about at Sam's Club, Walmart when they didn't hire women managers. That was hidden for a long time. There was another one where they used to lock us in at night, like hourly partners. They'd lock the doors because, of course, they didn't want anybody to walk in, but we were locked in, but yet we weren't allowed to clock in for hours because they wanted to cut hours. So it's like they're holding us prisoner, but we can't get paid for it type thing. And they didn't take action until, of course, huge lawsuits happened, and then all of a sudden they gave somebody a key. I mean, I know that sounds really silly, but they stated that if we left like out a fire exit, there better be a police officer on the other side or an ambulance. And
mhm.
I fell one night and smacked my head and busted open my eye. It was all bloody, but I didn't want to pay $600 for an ambulance, so I had to wait until the morning. And of course, the doctor said that he couldn't stitch it back because you know, it had been so long, had been like a day shift and I'd done that, I could have just walked out the front door. They kind of put their head in the sand and pretended like, oh, you know, there's nothing wrong with this, because it was saving them money. So, I mean, until lawsuits come out, these leadership, they kind of like hide their head in the sand.
Yeah. I mean, and at the same time, say that there was a leader that didn't know this was happening, like how would he handle that? So that's, again, it comes back to the crisis management, like dealing with these people and like whether they need to fire some people that are in the company or not. That's like, how do you handle that? I feel like no training can prepare you for that. So
I think it all deals with communication, because there could be crisis where the employees don't know what's going on, and then there could be crises that the CEOs don't understand, or they don't even know that there was a problem in the first place. So a good company to thrive, it's the communication between both the lower chains and the higher up. So that's what I think.
Wait, I think it's working.
Oh.
Woo!
there you go.
Oh my, working. I'm so sorry. I'm a mess completely. I mean, as if we.
Go ahead, Catherine. We're just talking about crisis management and leadership when stuff goes crazy.
And we lost.
We lost it. Well, I mean, like I said, I feel like it's a good practice for leaders inside of organizations to look at other places. It doesn't have to be the same company, because, I mean, I feel like learning from mistakes so you don't make them is very important. Like I could be a manager at a bank and look at how Safeway manage this similar process that we do. They handle it well, so maybe we should incorporate some of the things that they do into
now it. I can't hear any.
Or even like, yeah, just stuff like that. Just like they shouldn't like incorporate that in like the monthly training stuff, like case studies on situations where people are put in the hot spots.
I think also, whenever I was listening to the lectures, two things that stood out was, she said to know what could go wrong in a company, in the inside, know best how the company can fail. And then also investigators to come in and look at all the dynamics of the organization and see which ways that they could be sabotaged or anything like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that comes down to ethics, whether you want to do it or not. You don't have to hire the investigators, but I mean, if it helps you get a little bit safer in the end, I feel like it's worth it. And like I said, it all comes down to whether the person believes or not. Like May said, acknowledge the problem when they do. But then, on public leadership, I mean, like you're held to a higher standard than most others, just because everything is put on a microscope and examined so much. For example, the example I see a lot is, unfortunately, LeBron James. He's always on the media just because of his speech. I mean, half the time they're just harmless, but like they spend full hour sessions of ESPN or even like radio talk shows about examining exactly what words you use and what does it mean. Is there any racial implications? Is there any political things he wants to get across? And people read it too much into it when in the end it was just a tweet, nothing big. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like he didn't even put that much thought into it. He just like said something, and they're like trying to dissect it when he just mindlessly said something.
Yeah.
But that's what happens when you're in the public eye.
Yeah, and that's
right. That's why.
Go ahead.
So that's why he gets paid those millions, to be over scrutinized.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why he doesn't care. That's why I feel that doesn't affect him. But at the same time, you got to give that up. A lot of people like I've had this conversation before. Like, would you be a celebrity or like an actress or actor, and but give up your ability to have your private thoughts or to share your opinions because at the end of the
Yeah.
day, you're gonna have to keep it all to yourself. Otherwise, the mob rule will come and get you. Or like you might not, even if your opinion goes with what everybody else thinks. And then at that point they'll consider you a fake person. That this person doesn't think for themselves. So it's like a dilemma. Like
You just have to get thick skin. That's all.
yeah, as long as
You just gotta have thick skin and a thick wallet. I'll take that. I'll do it. If you want me to be the experiment, just give me all your money. I'll be the experiment.
Hey, I mean, you see, well, I've seen that the like lottery winners aren't exactly as happy as people like with ordinary jobs. I mean, then again, I don't know what they use the money for. So
Well,
Craziness.
I think what makes it different, what makes that particular situation different than just being a leader. I mean, you can be famous by being a leader. You're running an organization. People have to trust your ability and your judgment and your values because, I mean, usually you have investors. You want to appeal to them. You want to appeal to the public. You want people to buy your product. And if you can't lead an organization or if they say things that are offensive, then maybe people just don't even want to do business with you. That's why it's important to maintain your public image. And I think it's a huge part of being a leader. I mean, you can't say something and do something else, but also there should be a fine line. I mean, if somebody mindlessly said something that he shouldn't be, I mean, people can cut the person some slack.
yeah, exactly. But then again, like I said, you get those sticklers that you said that word at this time. That's very inappropriate. I'm calling HR. Okay. I mean, they're in every right to do so, but at the same time, like, what kind of person? Like, that's why you got to choose your teammates correctly, right? Know what you can say in front of who. I mean, it sounds bad, right? But sometimes that's what it comes down to because if you want to be an effective leader when it comes to a group setting. You got to be equal throughout and expect everybody to treat you as if you're just perfect professional speech and being appropriate in any way. Otherwise, you lose power that way, like we discussed in the previous chapter. People think you're incompetent. They don't respect you for the things you say. I think we should be good on the time. Thanks, guys.